Hard Facts. It's a wet Tuesday afternoon. How are you doing? What's happening with you? How is work going? How's business going? I hope you're making sales. I hope you're making profit. And, there's something about a wet, rainy day, especially when the rain isn't torrential. It's just, sort of drizzling and then just, pouring down mildly. It has a way of just making everywhere snoozy and cozy. So if you're not careful, you just might be tempted to do nothing. But hey, we get grinding, right? We get moving, we get going. That's exactly why we're here today. Well, I am here for now until the Oracle herself, Kimberly, joins me in the studio and joins us in the various conversation we are going to be having today. All right. But you're listening to the voice of radio's finest, Gabriel Spector. And yes, let's get on to the big three stories for today. Quite a number of interesting stories are making the rounds this afternoon. But we'll look at some of the biggest ones, three of them as a matter of fact. And you know how we do it. Be ready to jump in with your contribution. All right. So we start with this one, which is quite interesting. You really wonder. Yesterday on Hard Fact, we spoke at length about, the presidents making international trips. And how the kind of money, the Esther code, the allowances, the money it costs to fuel the planes or the plane, the number of persons in the entourage, and all of that. And all of these trips are being done. Are they too expensive, or they are a necessity in terms of strengthening bilateral ties with whatever country the president of the nation goes to visit? Some people say, well, let's market the country. Other persons will say, well, charity begins at home. Before you go marketing the country, before you go marketing the product, why don't you first and foremost tidy up the home side, get everything sorted out, ensure that your product is really what you say it is. Now bringing it home, or in the context of the country, we're talking about security, for example. Make the security better so that businesses feel safe. People feel safe. But then, looking at this particular report here, talking about Japan denying the president's or this administration's or the president's government's claim on migration, special visa opportunities for Nigeria. So the Japanese government has denied the President Bola Tinubu administration's claim of a newly created visa category allowing skilled Nigerians to relocate to Japan. It said through its Ministry of Foreign Affairs that the claim of inclusion of immigration measures or special visas for Nigerian citizens in the new JICA Africa Hometown Initiative launched last week was untrue. So I'll take that again. It says the claim of inclusion of immigration measures or special visas for Nigerian citizens in the new initiative launched last week was untrue. The Japanese government issued this rebuttal in a statement sometime earlier today, about 4 days after the Nigerian presidency announced that it had launched an initiative with the Asian country creating a new migration route for Nigeria. This announcement was made during the 9th meeting of the Tokyo International Conference for African Development, TICAD 9, which was held from, basically this month, within this week, as a matter of fact. Okay, so the Tinubu government, in a statement issued, claimed that under the Japan International Cooperation Agency, that's the JICA, its new partnership with Japan, Nigerian citizens could benefit from a special dispensation visa to work in Japan. It stated that Japan had designated Kisarazu, a city in the country, as the hometown for Nigerians and would offer a special visa category for highly skilled young Nigerians willing to live and work there. It's further highlighted that artisans and other blue-collar workers from Nigeria who were ready to upskill would also benefit from the special category. So it's been a pretty interesting year for us in the country. You know, we've experienced quite a number of tariff hikes from the likes of US. We've experienced some issues even with neighboring countries in Africa here, like Ghana, for example. I think we also had something, I may be wrong, but something with South Africa earlier in the year. So it's on the diplomatic front, on the foreign affairs level or front, it looks like we just keep getting knocks here and there. But refuting the claim, the Japanese government stressed that the program was focused solely on fostering community-level exchanges and did not include a new visa category. The Japanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs said Japan had no plan to allow immigration to give special visas to Nigerians and nationals of other African countries under the program. So just so you don't go thinking that there's a personal vendetta against Nigerians, it's not just you guys, it's all of Africa. So quoting this rebuttal, it says, there are no plans to take measures to promote the acceptance of immigrants or issue special visas for residents of African countries. And the series of reports and announcements concerning measures are not true. Rather, it noted that contrary to the fact in circulation, the JICA Africa hometown announced at the TICAD 9 aims to strengthen exchanges between African countries and Japanese local governments based on the experience gained through its previous project. It also says, under this claim, JICA plans to promote exchanges between the 4 Japanese cities and the 4 African countries through various activities, including the organization of exchange events involving JICA overseas cooperation volunteers. So basically, what I'm just looking at this, really, you know, it's quite interesting. So are we going to say that there's a misunderstanding of what was agreed upon between the Nigerian government and the Japanese government that led to the information, or did somebody somewhere get overly excited, was too happy about, you know, whatever negotiation or whatever agreement that was reached with the Japanese government, that there is a misrepresentation of what the facts actually is or are. You know, because things like this, we've spoken severally about the country and its imagery, its perception at the international level. And things like this, shouldn't they be unacceptable? I mean, if you ask me, this, for the government to come out and say, people should calm down, hold up. Don't get too excited. We're not talking about acceptance or special visas for immigrants. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about some relationship in terms of business. We're talking about, you know, exchanging business ideas. And no, we're not talking about special visas for, and it's not just for you guys, all right? It's all of Africa, so you don't begin to feel bad. You know, this, if you ask me, doesn't look good for us on the international level. This doesn't look good for us. It doesn't speak well of us. But then again, I mean, it's okay that the Japanese government have come out to clarify, just so that people do not get overly excited, because you know there are some people who are waiting for such opportunities as this. I remember when under the Buhari administration, at the beginning, towards the middle, when we began to strengthen conversation and ties with China. A lot of Nigerians have since then began to enter into China. I mean, so many people gone there, do business. We have an increased amount of Nigerians in China now. I also remember that sometime during the Buhari, the late president, the former president who is not late, we had some ties, bilateral conversation with Malaysia. And that also skyrocketed the amount of influx of Nigerians into Malaysia. As a matter of fact, I do know for a fact that because I was somewhere in Lagos State, around Banana Island, with the representative of the Malaysian government High Commission on Trade and Commerce. Myself and some persons were there for some, meeting. And that meeting was basically about movement of Nigerians, Africans. Well, they said Africans, but typically of Nigerians. Then there was a sprinkle of Ghanaians, I think 1 or 2 South Africans. It was about 30 people, which the Malaysian government sponsored the trip, just taking them to, they got to Kuala Lumpur, I think Selangor, is that what it's called now? Basically what we call Idu here, where there's industries, there's factories over there, took them there, and in a bid to look at how they can strengthen business association with Nigeria on that front. So when conversations like this happen, I mean, many businessmen are looking at how they can jump on it. However, this doesn't look good for us. I mean, I don't know what you think. I wait to hear from you. I'm wondering, is it that the agreements were not clear enough? Or somebody got extended? Or that is now in the report, the quote was said by the presentation or his spokespersons. It was quoted and it is not true. So is it the Japanese government promised something, now they are reneging on what they promised? It's cause for question, because things like this are not good for us on the international front. I have to go for this commercial, but when I come back, we'll look at other big stories happening, and then I'll take a contribution.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info. Nigeria Info. 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 Info is Nigeria Info.
All right, welcome back. So this is the big three. That's the segment on Hard Facts 95.1 Nigeria Info. In case you're just tuning in, I'll be going to the phone lines and the WhatsApp portal. Also, our socials at Nigeria Info Abuja. That's on Twitter. Okay, I beg your pardon. Twitter is actually Nigeria Info ABJ, at Nigeria Info ABJ. And Instagram and Facebook is at Nigeria Info FM Abuja. So just go ahead, send your contributions to the social media portal of your choice. All right, 0700 951 0000, 0700 951 0000, 0809 597 4869. And WhatsApp 0809 993 0137. So the first story I shared is pretty much this quite embarrassing situation where the Japanese government has come to deny claims of another government, Nigerian government, on migration and special visa opportunities for Nigerians. All right, so the denial of the Japanese government for Nigerian citizens, when we begin to look at it, several implications for the president and his administration. You want to talk about public relations and diplomatic embarrassment, because, this is quite an embarrassment. Or maybe it isn't actually an embarrassment. Maybe one is just overreacting. So if you call it an embarrassment, are we overreacting, or it is what it is? Also, is it possible that this undermines the credibility of the government and its official statements when we have things like this for the government of another country to come and debunk? Just thinking about it, things like this, when they even happen between individuals, it makes somebody look like a liar. Have you seen situations where, for example, two people are saying two different things and are supposed to be members or participants in an event, and they're saying two different things? So you, an observer, what's coming to your head is it's either somebody is lying amongst the both of you, or somebody is misbehaving in some way. You don't even want to begin to look into the details, diplomatic details of how this makes us look as a country. But something is wrong somewhere. Who issued the statements? Is the Japanese government? Were they wrong to have made the rebuttal? Are we going to get a statement back from the Nigerian government? If this is true, that the claims were false in the first place, then who issued such a statement? When they say somebody's trigger happy, like I remember, I think it was the Super Falcons that, before the match ended, some news sites, is it something like that that's happening here? But at that level, at the level of representation of a full country, such a thing isn't acceptable. I want to believe so. I'll wait to hear from you. But let's look at other big stories happening. This one, I'll call it a bonus, all right? But I want to quickly share this before I move on to the remaining two stories and the influx of contributions that I'm sure will begin to pour in few minutes from now. So the Federal Ministry of Environment, National Flood Early Warning Center, FEW, has issued a fresh alert to 9 northern states over possible flooding. So it's important that once these announcements are being made, it's important that we also share if that would help, perhaps. I know, for example, my neighbor, the very compound I stay in, my neighbor, he shuffles between Abuja and 2 northern states every week. 2 far northern states. My neighbor, how he does it, I do not know. Amazing man, wonderful family man. And I think he's a medical doctor, but such strength, So some people definitely need this information. As also, when we begin to hear of flooding situations in these areas, so we don't get too surprised because there's already the warning. That's why it's important to mention. The Director of Erosion, Flood and Coastal Zone Management Department, Usman Abdullahi Bukani, mentioned Bauchi, Gombe, Jigawa, Kano, and Katsina State, which have already been placed on red alert, while Sokoto and Zamfara have also been listed, with Makira and Anka towns specifically flagged. The director also said Adamawa and Katsina recorded the highest number of towns under threat to flooding, not insecurity, flooding. All right. In Adamawa, Mubi, Sheleng, and Abakumbo were named, while in Katsina, Keita, Bindawa, and Katsina town were all listed. So that's out there. All right. Let's move on to this one on a national level too, quite concerning. A report that we're getting as regards a means of transportation that may not be quite popular amongst Nigerians. However, those that use train system in the country, they do use it. But reports like this are the kind of reports that dissuade people, all right? Dissuade people from attempting to use a transport system like this. Talking about the train station, or the train, I beg your pardon, Abuja-Kaduna train derails. And if I am not mistaken, this is not the first time this is happening in a very short while. Talking about less than 4 years. So the Nigerian Railway Corporation, NRC, said the train derailed sometime earlier today at kilometer 49 between Kubwa and Asham stations. So panic gripped passengers after a Kaduna-bound train from Abuja derailed, sending several coaches tumbling off the track. Some of the train's passengers discussed their experiences to reporters. Though details of the incident are still sketchy, emergency teams and security personnel swiftly moved to the scene to assist survivors. All right, so looking at some of the accounts of some, we can call them survivors. I don't think there was any fatality, but it must be quite an experience, quite a scary one for a train to derail off its track. That's quite a scary one, if you ask me. Well, it does happen all over the world, that I know for sure. But what I do also know is that many countries who are particular about improving mass transit scheme of different kinds, either waterways, the train system, even on land, always looking to improve. The last time this happened, I'm very sure, I'm going to take my time to fish out the dates that this happened last. This in Abuja, Kaduna. Before the end of this show, I'm going to fish that out. The very last time it happened. Since then, what has been done? I mean, this is not to even flog the NRC. This is not to flog them unnecessarily, because, I mean, they always say that we're working to ensure that the train system or the rail network are safer. And in terms of security too, there are also security measures. I remember some time ago also, under the last administration, under the former president, late President Buhari, where some monies were allocated, earmarked for installments of security features, I think cameras and the likes. on a train system, on a rail track. So what has been done in terms of improving this mode of transportation in the country, all over the country? What has been done? Do we have constant? Because when things like this happen, it's only normal that we begin to ask questions. I do not want to be on a train from Abuja to Kaduna and experience derailment of the train off its track. That's not the kind of experience I would like to have. So next time, I just might be considering, I think I'm just going to go by road. But then again, you think about it. You go by road, you have your heart in your mouth from the beginning to the end of the journey. From the beginning to the end. And so you wonder, so what then do we do? And so when people complain about dividends of democracy, complain about getting value for taxes they pay, getting value for the mere fact of being a Nigerian, and things like this happen. And then you begin to question. You're forced to question, what exactly are we doing as a country? What exactly are we doing as a country? Confirming the incident, the NRC said the train derailed. Okay, I already mentioned this. Okay, let me just quote the NRC. NRC confirms a train derailment involving its Kaduna-bound AKTS train service. That was a statement signed by the managing director, Kayode Okwefa. Emergency rescue, medical personnel, and nearby hospitals have already been mobilized. Full complement of security is already on ground as efforts are ongoing to move all passengers back to Abuja safely. Another passenger who spoke with the reporter said, and was traveling with her 2 children, said the experience was terrifying. I mean, it can be nothing but terrifying. Everyone thought the train would somersault completely. We thank God for life. Well, I thank God for them too. The NRC has appealed for patience as rescue operations continue. And they said more details will be provided in subsequent reports. So this is to us to look out for the details of what this event is all about. What caused it? What are we doing to ensure that there is little or no future occurrence of this magnitude, of this kind? So we'll be waiting for the NRC. We'll be watching the national dailies, the news sites, perhaps even their social media handles. We'll be waiting for the report as to what exactly went wrong. All right. One more story on the big three, and I get to your contribution. But I beg your pardon. One more story. But in the meantime, let me get your contribution. 0700 951 0000 0809 597 4869. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon.
Hi, Gabriel. My name is Swat.
Oh, interesting. Swat,
Yes.
welcome.
So thank you so much. That train incident happened, and I have just been looking at everything with both trepidation and a lot of thanksgiving. You know what? 7 of my family members were on that train.
Oh, wow.
This morning, I and my husband took 2 of my younger sisters. One came from Lagos, one came from Jos with her husband.
Wow.
3 kids. And then my elder sister's son also came. So it was like a family reunion. They were all in my house and spent 1 week. They came in last Tuesday and they decided to leave this morning. So I and my husband took them to the train station and bid them farewell this morning.
Wow.
Only for me, just when I went back home, had a bath and everything, took breakfast, and then decided to come to work. That was when I saw the phone call from my younger sister. And I felt, okay, she wanted to just keep me updated on the, progress of the journey. And she said, the train just derailed. And I was like, what? What did you just say? Just like the train just derailed. And I was like, what happened? And she was trying to tell me, but then somehow, the network went off. My heart, caught. My body started shaking. So my husband took the phone from my hand and everything. And somehow we were able to get back to them and then ask what happened. So basically, I think it is a case of, how some of this, what do you call them, this babambola or whoever it is, that would take off the track, the railway track.
Piece by pieces.
Just like we
pick it apart.
About manholes.
Yeah.
Yes, they keep stealing and stuff like that. Now imagine what could have happened. I think the saving grace was because the train was not moving at a very high speed. And somehow God helped. Now imagine if that train was on high speed. What the calamity would have been.
It would have.
Do you understand? So when this thing happened, my husband quickly called the manager of the train station because he has access to him and everything. And he did not even know that would happen. So the guy said, okay, I'll call you back. And somehow I think the rescue mission or whatever it
was sent out.
At the end of the day, just after, was sent out. After I left office, I called again my younger sister to find out what the progress is. And she said, well, what they did was like they brought in some security, got them to a place. They had to find a bus to get themselves in, and they are on their way back to Kaduna. And I pray that God just takes them, safe and sound.
Amen to that.
So in essence, what I'm trying to say is we cannot continue excusing some of these things that happen in this country. I talked with one of the staff today, and I was like, oh, has this thing ever happened before? And he said, yes. That these things have been happening and that they are aware, but they turn their head the other way and pretend like nothing is happening. So when you see Nigerians crying about bad roads, about this and that, we think that we're immune to it until it comes close to you. Now imagine the catastrophe, Gabriel, that 7 of my family members in one day, God forbid, something happens to them. Do you understand?
I do.
So you understand the grievances when we keep saying, look, fix these infrastructures, fix these deficiencies, get these criminals, prosecute them, and let them know that they cannot just get away with it.
Yeah.
We keep turning the other way around until it comes to our doorsteps. And that's why when I'm on air, I'm saying, you know what, we cannot continue to excuse some of these things.
Indeed.
How does a country, you just carry on as if we don't know that there is something actually happening? Who are these people who are going to the rails and they are causing this kind of catastrophe, stealing the rail or the metals or whatever it is, and they are not being caught? How come we don't have security that is stationed to ensure that these things are safeguarded, knowing the dicey nature of it? So basically, it's a tragedy.
It is.
Tragedy.
It is.
We continue. I mean, I remember when the train was attacked.
Yeah.
Some people were killed, some people were kidnapped and taken.
Yeah.
We talked about it, and then boom, it went. It was swept up under the carpet. Now this incident, who knows what next is going to happen and who it is going to affect? God forbid, I'm thanking God right now, my family members are safe and sound. But if we don't rise up and do something about what is currently happening, it's just a micro, whatever of what is currently going on in the country. And we keep trying to excuse some of these inefficiencies and some of this rot that has gotten into the system. Well, it's just unfortunate.
It is.
I'm here to just say thank you, God. I'm here to
I
say
mean,
thank you, God.
I thank God I thank God on behalf of you and your family to Swat. And it's good to hear.
So many other survivors too. So many families that could have been affected. I'm grateful to God that it could have been worse.
It could have been worse. But thank God that it is not. Thank you so much, Swat, for calling.
Yes.
Oh my.
Thank you, sir.
Oh my. It's quite sad, really. It's quite sad that collectively we just keep jeopardizing our lives as a nation, but the government, even the people, because those that vandalize public infrastructure, they sell them. I'm very sure they don't chew these metals. I'm very sure these guys don't chew the metals. I'm very sure they don't take the metals home and stockpile them. Even if they do, at some point, I'm very, very certain that whoever that is vandalizing our public infrastructure will pick that particular, item and dispose of it, perhaps sell it, most likely sell it. Who are those buying? Who are those buying? Who are those buying? You know, when there is no demand, there is no supply. When you're buying a metal, can't you see that this thing is a manhole? Can't you see it's a manhole? Or you don't know what a manhole looks like anymore? And also, when we just, turn our face away, I'm talking about the government, just turn the face away, like, people cannot come and kill us. The Yoruba language, they say, I did not kill my mother, you cannot come and kill me. Something like that. I mean, it's really sad. Just imagine the number of families that could have been thrown into mourning just by things that are easily avoidable. It's sad, really. It's sad, and it shows and tells of how we value lives in this country. I mean, it's pretty clear that when it comes to valuation of lives, giving lives the incalculable value that lives deserve, we are very poor. Very poor on that. Very, very poor. Very poor. Countries that have sophisticated, highly sophisticated train systems, they don't have this happening. They don't have this happening. Train systems powered by pure electrical, purely electrical. Come on. All right, let me get back to the phone lines. One more story to share with you, but I can see tons of messages pouring in already. WhatsApp number is 0809-993-0137. That's the WhatsApp number. Phone line 0700 951 0000 0809 597 4869. Hello? Oh dear. Hello?
Hello, good perspective.
Good afternoon. Hello?
Good afternoon. This is Max calling.
All right, welcome.
Can you hear me?
I can now. Hello? Okay, I think that's from your end, so please call me back. Hello?
Hello, good afternoon, the Inspector. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Yes, my name is Obedient Elder, Conrad Tony, calling from Abuja.
All right.
The Inspector, you can see why people like us, hardliners, have always advocated for death by firing squad to people who vandalize public utilities, as well as corrupt officials. Look, you see, yesterday in SWAT program, in fact, my contribution was how just one man, Lee Kuan Yew, in 1965, when the state of Singapore was given birth to.
Yeah.
Look, Malaysia pursued them. So, in 1965, it took the guts and the determination of just one man to transform a country. Today now, Singapore is corruption-free. They are so advanced in technology, and yet that was a country that came to Nigeria in 1974. I remember vividly that because then I was in class 4. In college, General Yakubu Gowon gave Lee Kuan Yew loan, developmental loan, with which that man went back. He did not embezzle the money, he did not steal it, he used it, and together with the cooperation of all Singaporean citizens, they are able to build a first world country today. Look at us in Nigeria. Where are we? Still torturing as a third world country. Now we have vandals in this country. We have political armed robbers, the so-called politicians who doesn't want Nigeria to move forward. You see, they still look. You see, when people like Obedient, look, the respecter, I'm 68 years old now. That is the reason why you see me. I'm always angry each time I'm contributing because, one, I studied abroad. I studied in Italy for several years. I lived there. And then later, I went to US to go and do my postgraduate.
Elder, you have 30 seconds. Let's wrap it up.
Okay, now, look, what am I saying?
Mm.
Until we put death by firing squad to public vandals,
All right.
all these things will continue.
All right. Thank you so much, Elder. Well, to be very frank with you, that's quite far-fetched. It's a tall order. And I'm very sure a number, including myself, a number of persons would beg to differ. All right. I'm sure we can have a visionary leader, like the example you cited. We can have people behave better without necessarily putting people, what did you call it? Death by firing squad. There are different numbers. If you're going to do that to people who vandalize, I mean, what about other forms of corruption? Because that's not the only form of corruption. There are other kinds that happen that are equally as injurious as that. So are we going to go about, firing everybody? So, I mean, yes, we need to take a strong stance as regards these people vandalizing the whole ecosystem, not just the people vandalizing. Who are those buying? We need to look into that. I have to go for this commercial. When I come back, we'll continue the conversation. I beg your pardon.
The semi-finals of I Beg to Differ Students Debate is here. On Wednesday, two electrifying clashes of wit, logic, and persuasion will light up the stage. At 4 p.m., Olajolo Akinoluwa takes on Majesty Joseph on the topic AI-generated content should be considered original and protected by copyright. At 5 p.m., God's Goodness Kukwete goes head-to-head with Ifeoluwa Olaya on the topic AI will teach students better than human teachers. Do not miss a second of this intellectual fireworks. Tune in live to Nigeria Info and Kids FM stations nationwide. Watch online on Facebook and on YouTube at Nigeria Info 99.3. I Beg to Differ Secondary Schools Debate Tournament. The national finals is proudly powered by Chrisland Schools, Ejanla Foods, Diamonds and Pearls Travels Limited, Massey Children's Hospital, OB Wheezy, and the Lekki Conservation Center. Knowledge, passion, and power.
This is Nigeria Info.